So in today's video, we're talking about downswing. Now we all have to make one, but when we start our downswing is really important, and that's what we're going to cover today. So welcome back to the Forest of Arden. We're on the par 5 17th hole here on the Arden course, talking about downswing and more specifically when that actually starts. So in today's video, you're going to learn about the transition and about how we have to sequence that transition in order to hit better golf shots. And we're also going to provide you with a drill that you can do during practice to help you create this feeling within your golf swing to help you hit better golf shots. We're going to focus on the driver today, but this would apply to all the golf clubs in your bag. Now, just before we get started and get into this video, if this is one of your first videos, I would love you to be part of my channel and be a free subscriber. There is a link in the description box and there's one at the end of the video which will allow you to just click on it and I say join me and my channel and we can help you play some better golf this year. So downswing, we all have to make one. We all have to move the golf club away from the ball and we all have to move it towards the ball. But what we tend to see in the really good players is a slightly different pattern to often what we see in the poorer golfers. So what do we often see in the elite golfers, the golfers that we aspire to be like, who hit the golf shots that we'd love to hit? Well, what we'd often find is before the golf club has finished its movement away from the target, so as the golf club is still completing its backswing, if you like, the lower body has already begun its movement towards the target. So the first point here would, I really don't want you to think about the golf swing as a backswing and a downswing. There is a movement away from the ball, yes. There is a transition, and then there is a movement towards the ball, but there's never a black and white backswing and then downswing. Technically, the body should start its downswing move before the golf club finishes its movement away from the ball. That's not often what we see in the amateur game. But why is that important? Well, what it actually does, it creates a lot of torque through the body. It can often create a lot of lag in the arms and the club, which is really good for power, it's really good for consistency. And we often find that golfers have a great sequence, often get the segments of the body moving in the correct order. So let's go ahead and hit a tee shot here, and we're going to slow this down so hopefully you can see kind of when these things happen and the order in which they happen. Okay, so as we slow that video down, you're going to see there that the lower body started the golf swing before the upper body. And that's sort of exactly what we're after. So how do we create that and how do we get you to feel that as a little exercise? Well, we're going to do what we call a step drill. So I'm going to take my setup just inside this golf ball. I'm going to take my normal address. I'm going to take my lead foot and I'm going to move it across so it touches my back foot. So my feet are close together, almost touching. Now, what we're going to get you to do is make some little golf swings. These don't have to be at full speed. But the feeling would be, I move the golf club away, and before that golf club completes its movement away from the ball, I will initiate my movement towards the target with my lower body. And you can see I'm skirting a lot of pressure through that lead side. I'm starting to shift my hips laterally, and I'm starting to apply some force through the ground under my lead foot. But that happens before the golf club completes its backswing. Once my lead foot is planted and the golf club has completed its backswing, I can then deliver that club through to a follow-through position. So let me do that again in a slightly more sequence movement. So we go back and then we go through. Now you can see I'm not doing that at full speed, and this is a great way for you to start because we're starting to create the sequence. Now these are a little bit more difficult to show, but you're going to feel this. If done correctly, that movement should feel smooth, it should feel in rhythm, and the tempo should feel great. This is often what we would find from the amateur golfers who struggle with this movement. They'll go back, the golf club will come down, and then they'll kind of try and move their foot later. The sequence isn't quite right. It doesn't feel particularly smooth, and we often see a kind of jerky movement, and that's often communicated back as it didn't feel particularly smooth. The sequencing wasn't good. So these little examples here would be from golfers who tend to have a backswing. They tend to start their downswing, and then they try and move their body weight. They don't have that transition which we see from the best golfers, where they start their downswing in the correct sequence before the backswing completes. So once you have a few swings, you can start to increase the speed. All the time, I'm searching for that feeling of timing. I'm searching for that feeling of tempo. I'm starting to feel that kind of smoothness in there. Now, absolutely nothing wrong with you hitting a few golf balls this way. I just wouldn't expect the result to be fantastic, but we're not really after a perfect result. We're after a sequencing and a movement which feels a little different. And again, you'll hopefully notice that wasn't completely full speed, but it's at a speed which allows me to sense what I'm doing and create those feelings that I'm going to take into my golf swing. So the real takeaway from this video is don't think about the golf swing as a backswing and a downswing. There's a movement away, there's a transition when things begin to move towards the target, and then there's a movement down towards the golf ball. And if we can get that transition as we want it, we start to unlock things that we often want in our golf game. We often start to get a pressure shift which is correct. We often get a tempo which is excellent. We often get great rhythm to our golf swing, and we often get those things that we search for on the golf course that knit our golf swing together and help us play some better golf. The timing, the tempo, the rhythm, which we often see the best golfers demonstrating, but not always in the amateur game. So give that little drill a go. Step drill, fantastic for sequencing, fantastic for starting your downswing, and it should help you hit some more fairways with a little bit more distance too. Thanks for watching. Usual stuff is below, comments box, like button, all the usual. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video and future videos going forwards, and also clicking that button if you'd love to be a subscriber. I would love to have you part of my channel. Thanks for watching.